Hey, this is Samurai Banana. You're listening to the Cabbages podcast, talking about bad movies and having fun.
Gary,
Yes, Jeff.
this is the third worst movie we've ever watched for this podcast.
Oh,
Not together, but for the podcast.
That can't be true.
That's absolutely true. List me.
We have a
You'll
reputation.
be shocked to know that I have the list up right now, and we could do this. We can do this.
We have a reputation for watching some pretty bad movies, and
This
I
movie
think
fucking sucks.
I think before we get to the list, I think we can probably agree on what the first two are.
I would think so.
Yeah. Order. Even without the order, I think we could probably pick the two.
I'll pick one and you pick one. Marcy X.
Bong Water.
We did it.
Yeah.
those are the worst two films.
Back and forth. I think.
Absolutely. And I think this comes in third.
Why do we torture Backwoods Studios artists? We love them. We had.
I'm going back through right
Water.
now. Oh, I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for Samurai Banana.
Oh, Samurai Banana.
What are we going to talk about?
This movie, but I feel
everything happens, but actually nothing really happens in a way, except for a bunch of people die.
Okay, I want to just make sure that we're talking about this right. If you think that Need for Speed 2014, is the third worst movie we've watched, I'm going to name some other movies we have.
You got to go back, way back, to find one as bad as this one, and that's rolling.
And I'm going to throw out like a real fastball at you. Your Highness,
better.
Your Highness,
better.
I can't believe. Wow,
that movie sucked. I agree with you. Rollerball, 1,000 times before I'd watch this again.
Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Oh man, that is low. Oh, you know what? Oh boy, Cats.
No, Cats had Idris Elba.
The only thing about Cats is that it was
McCavity.
The things that they did were so interestingly terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God!
Like, we could talk endlessly about the stupidity and the horribleness.
That's why
I don't want to talk about this movie, so it's not worse. But I did hate watching that film.
Oh, we watched that. We were very high, and
we got to watch it together, which did a lot. But I don't think watching this together, we would have been happy.
It has to be so bad that you weren't enjoying it while you watched it. You were hating all these different things, and then when you come back to it for thinking about it, you're like, Gotti. I never want to talk about this again. Oh, you've got to Gotti now. Good.
Gotti's still better. Ginger Dead Man better.
Outside Providence.
Queen of the Damned. Yes, it's better.
Queen of the Damned.
Even with its like obvious fucked upness. Outside Providence.
I feel like I can see like the road you're going, and I think you skipped Hot to Trot.
No, I would watch Hot to Trot 5 million times before I watch this again.
Yeah, Hot to Trot is my Cats. But
it's a really bad film, yes. But like, it's known for it. The stories we told around it, we had great conversation out of it. I'm not saying we can't have a great conversation with Banana, but oof, it's gonna be brutal. No. Grow House was bad, but not that bad.
Oh, I like Grow House.
It's the third worst film for me. It's the third worst film that we watched.
Okay,
because I'm back into the Leprechaun now, and then it's just Hubie Halloween,
which is the best movie we watched on the show. So obviously that's
okay.
A factor.
Agree to disagree, but you're gonna like this. Certainly, I'd watch this again before I'd watch Need for Speed a third time.
Okay,
certainly.
I'm gonna throw one more movie from our list on here.
Guaranteed it's better.
And then we're gonna go to our guest. White Men Can't Jump 2023.
1,000 times before this movie again. At least it's pretty quiet. It's unassuming. Its plot isn't driven by like horrid car culture and outright murder. Just hundreds of dead people in this movie for no reason. They treat part of this movie like it's a fucking, you know what? They treat part of it's like it's a video game, part of it like it's real, and it never really defines either. It's awful in both counts. But we should talk to our guest about that.
Let's do it. I'm excited to introduce our guest for today's show. Joining us now is Samurai Banana. You may know this New York-based producer from the Karma Kids or for his work with the likes of Uncommon NASA and Sketch 185. And maybe you're a diehard Cabbages supporter and you know him from the podcast DUNCECAST with Samurai Banana. Either way, he's got a brand new solo album out now on Uncommon Records called Just Tired, available wherever music is streamed or sold. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, what up?
This is long
Thanks for having
overdue.
me.
You are a family member.
Yeah.
This is like a family reunion in a way.
Jeff, I don't even know if I've met you. Like,
We've been in the same room
we've been in the same room.
a lot, but we've never actually hung out. No.
No, or like,
Well, welcome to me.
both.
I'm going to speak over you the whole time.
lovely.
Yes.
That's
He
cool.
does
I
that.
speak
He does
very
that for
low,
every
so
guest.
like,
Every guest,
Yeah.
I'm consistent. Nothing if not consistent.
it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm really easy to talk over. So
Do you want me to angrily bring up the big fact that we learned beforehand, or do you want me to bring it
No.
up in context?
Honestly,
It's up to
Jeff,
you.
this episode
Go
is
for it.
going to be chaos. Let's just be chaotic.
It's got to be more interesting than the film. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
I hope so. Jesus fucking Christ! What a dumb
Okay.
movie. All right, but
Gary,
Go.
you had an opening tirade.
What were you going to say, Jeff? What were you going to say?
No. I'll bring it up in context. I think it's better.
Okay, sure. All right. So
I'm excited
before we
for
get into
context.
the details of this film, there's the reason why we're watching this in the first place. This is Cabbage's rapper movie season, where we're talking about movies where rappers are in front of the camera, behind the camera, otherwise involved in the storytelling.
General camera vicinity.
We got to this movie by saying, okay, Kid Cudi. Now, Jeff and I had seen Kid Cudi in the recent House Party reboot. And
oh,
the
he's in
episode,
that.
yeah, the episode as himself.
What?
Yes.
Amazing.
The episode we recorded before this is of White Men Can't Jump reboot, which has the same director as that. So Kid Cudi is very fresh in
Okay.
our minds as a result.
All right.
But I want to stop and just get a sense of your experience with Kid Cudi, either as an artist, as a Kanye West collaborator, as an actor, or really in any capacity. I'd be curious to know, like, what's your experience with Kid Cudi?
I actually don't really have much experience with Kid Cudi. I haven't listened to a lot of his music. I remember hearing like maybe his second album, like close to 10 years ago. Does this check out?
Yeah.
Under Scrutiny? I remember liking it. I remember being like, this is good, and maybe listening to it a second time. I'm more familiar with Kid Cudi from watching Comedy Bang Bang.
Oh, okay. There we go. There we
The
go.
very awkward transition from Reggie Watts to Weird Al, which made a lot more sense. And Kid Cudi just sort of awkwardly being there, like kind of like, what am I even doing with his like machine up there? Like, I don't really make live music like this, it doesn't seem. It was definitely a very weird vibe. I don't hate
I feel like, Gary, did you bring him on for
like
Cudi expertise, or
I knew that I'm on because it's a video game adaptation. I have no idea why you think that I would listen to a lot of Kid Cudi, though. I was very perplexed.
this episode's off to a great stop?
What vibe I give off? That says
Samurai
Kid-
Banana, thank you so much for coming on the show
Yeah, no,
today.
this was great.
Peace.
It's
Thank
been really
you.
great. We'll definitely have you back on again sometime.
Tears were shed.
I assume
Oh.
that Kid Cudi has a certain pop cultural awareness among a lot of people, largely because of, or at least beginning with his work on 808s and Heartbreak. I think a lot of people who follow Kanye West, I mean, not necessarily now, but followed him at some point, got to that album. That was a very polarizing record.
I just straight up didn't listen to it, man.
Yeah.
Like, but that's my feelings on Kanye, is I just don't fuck with him. I do remember that didn't Kid Cudi and Kanye beef at a certain point? Like,
I think they might
before-
still be, actually.
Well, I mean, I kind of assume, because Kanye is just like 1,000% off the deep end. I think this was before it was totally 1,000%. But like, yeah, that happened, right?
or at least
Not
before we
making
knew it
fun.
was 1,000%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I remember, I think the most recent beef stuff that I paid any attention to was that like Kid Cudi is friends with Pete Davidson.
Okay.
And as a complete aside, I saw Kid Cudi live once, and Pete Davidson was like 2 rows behind me at that show.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, oh, they're friends. Okay, got it. And yeah, so I think it has to do with that, at least most recently.
Okay.
But I think they've had issues over the years unrelated to
Yeah.
who Kim Kardashian chooses to date.
I saw Cudi play one time, opening for Outkast, and Outkast's first Georgia show in a billion years.
Oh, wow.
And he yelled at us the whole time and split. like 35. It was like a 40-minute set. He left with like 30 to 35 minutes remaining, and blamed us. It was like, this is your fault.
Did somebody throw a shoe? Or what happened?
He just didn't think we were into it. He wasn't feeling us, and he split.
Like, that's so fucking insane. It's not like, I assume you guys weren't like booing him or anything, right? Like,
we were amped.
Heckling?
Like, everyone was amped for Outkast. It was a huge party.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep into it and why I think he does what he does, but I think there's some.
No, let's get into it. It might provide some context for this character of his in this movie.
Context.
This
movie is contextless. I think he's had a history with splitting early on shows and just being like, this crowd doesn't like me, so I'm not going to do this. I don't know why. I'm not going to get into it. I'm sure people will on the internet, but I experienced it firsthand and was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I don't need to bother with this person's output if they're not willing to showcase it to me at like a massive, beautiful outdoor park event. No thanks. I just don't want to reform.
That's so weird. It seems like he has like kind of like conflicting personas, because like I feel like that sounds like he's just like an angry man in life, and in his music he comes like from what I can remember of what little I've heard is like it's kind of like somber and like melancholy. Yeah, right.
There's a lot of melancholy. I mean, some of that is vocal
Sad
tone,
Boy was thrown around for a little while.
Yeah, but like a lot of that was sort of the thing with like 808s and Heartbreak, with kind of the influence on that was just like he brought out this sense of stuff. Like after records like Graduation and College Dropout, Registration, like full of this really like cocksure sort of attitude. Like Cudi brings out this like I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve thing from him, and then like it inspires this whole generation of listeners who become artists. Down the road. So Kid Cudi is considered very influential. That said, like I struggle with a lot of his records because I don't quite see that. But again, that's not where I came from. I think if you were a certain age at the right time and that record hit you, then it hit you. And if you were someone like me who got really excited when Kanye was producing for Rockefeller, by the time you get to this, you're like, wait, what's this thing? There's a song called RoboCop and it's not good. If you have an album with a song called RoboCop on it, it has to be fucking amazing.
Has been pristine thus far.
Seriously, I mean, I will watch all 3 of the original RoboCop movies right now. Gladly, I will end this pod and we will just go do.
Actually, you know what? Let's leave this pod.
No.
Let's leave. We'll watch all 3 RoboCops. We'll reconvene, and that'll be the episode. So we don't have to talk about
in 6 hours. We'll all come back,
or any of the actors, or this terrible film.
Are there rappers in any of the RoboCops?
Maybe in the new one they did a reboot that I did not watch. Like Joel Kinnaman, I think, was the RoboCop in that one.
I saw it.
You did? Oh.
Yeah, it had interesting ideas about the RoboCop.
Were there any interesting ideas in Need for Speed?
None.
Okay. No.
Nary a one. You know what? There was one. There was one interesting idea in Need for Speed.
I'm listening.
Michael Keaton, just as an idea for this film, was the only interesting idea. Not that he's playing this thing or that he's doing anything that's spectacular in any way. It's just that he's a beacon of light whenever he's on the street, dancing around as a radio host in like, what was this, 2013, 2014?
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, 2014.
2014. No one was listening to the radio anymore. And this dude was like, the world was captivated by this race car radio man.
Was it even like radio, or was it like internet streams? Like,
You're
I don't
understand.
understand.
For context, don't make that mistake.
No, he's bringing up a good point, because it reminded me of like The Real Player. Like it reminded me like I was watching that, or like it was like on Winamp or something with like a stock ticker next to it. I couldn't understand what I was seeing on that screen.
But it was live. There wasn't a lot
and you
of
could
live
watch it in your
on then,
car. How could you watch it in your car?
Right? Like,
did it? Okay, really, what we should have started with instead of a Kid Cudi bash-a-thon was whether or not anyone here has played Need for Speed.
I hadn't, but I tried to. Like once I heard that Need for Speed was the movie I was assigned to.
Amazing.
I booted up a copy, like, you know, I'm a video game nerd that's got like a subscription service, right? And so like I could just, they had a fucking Need for Speed game, and so I downloaded it for free because I'm not paying. I mean, like, no offense, I wasn't gonna pay money to be on this podcast.
We watched this shit on Tubi. Okay, this was fun.
Offense not taken. Yeah, we're good.
The only thing we spent was your time.
I mean, my time's free. You know, no one's paying for that. But yeah, so I like tried to download it, and you know, I'm just gonna say it, I'm not like a huge racing game person. You know, I except for like Mario Kart, which Mario Kart's an amazing.
Thank you. I was gonna say I don't care for him either, but Mario Kart is a perfect game.
Mario Kart is a perfect game. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't drive in real life. Like, I don't have a license. I haven't.
Well, I have one, but I don't drive.
I have to get a license, or I'm pretty sure that my girlfriend's gonna leave me. So I gotta get on that. But
I feel like you're doing pretty good if that's the reason.
I mean, like, everything is everything. I mean, I feel like it's thin ice, you know. I don't know. No, I think we have a pretty anyway. This is stupid as fuck. Why are we getting into my relationship?
Because we don't want to talk about this. Because we don't want to talk about this movie.
So, I'll do anything but talk about this stupid ass movie.
But you played the game. You played the game.
So I booted up the game for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, "Oh, I remember why I don't play racing games. This fucking sucks." It's kind of cool because like you are like running from the cops. And
right, that's the point of it.
That's like, I remember when Need for Speed first came out, like way back in the day. I was like younger, so I was actually like playing more racing games at the time, and like the big thing that was happening in that game was like, oh, the cops are there and you have to elude the cops in the middle of your race. And I was like, that's a novel concept that just sounds like a pain in the ass. And I'll tell you what, it really is. It's just a giant fucking pain in the ass. It's like blue shells coming to hit you all the time. It's just, well, at least if you're blue shell. Bad at this game.
I lost today on a blue show, and I was about to sweep.
That's fucked up.
I was so mad.
Oof.
Oh, right before the finish line.
Wow. Damn. You playing those new levels?
Yeah, man, they're tough.
Hell yeah. They really are.
I don't have enough time to get great at that game. Gary, don't you dare interrupt and make me talk about Need for Speed. Don't you dare.
I'm going to have to.
I know, I can feel you being like, and you know what else is fun to talk about?
Well, you mentioned...
No, it's not the...
You liken the cops to the blue shells, and in the De Leon, we do get to see them play out exactly like that.
Really do. Especially like that, the guy in first, like, gets his fucking car just smashed the fuck up. Like, yeah,
they slingshot a car at him, basically.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was.
Can we talk a little bit about the De Leon?
De Leon.
Take it easy, Monarch. Okay, let's just slow your roll.
The De Leon.
They spend the whole movie.
The De Leon. The dick. I'm giving it away, Gary. I'm going to give it away right here. If you want to see this movie, turn it off and come back after.
You're lucky because
the De Leon fucking sucks. The whole thing that they build up this entire time, this race of all races, was they do the same thing they were just doing the whole movie. Yep.
Kind of lamer. Because honestly, like in terms of like fun action race car driving, like it peaked when they're in the desert on that fucking mountain cliff.
Oh shit.
And then which was just
that was the peak, wasn't it? Yeah.
Kid Cudi, Apache helicopter, call me Maverick.
That got old so fast. And they went to that well. That was like what he was supposed to do in the movie, was just fly a chopper over these car races or whatever. And like, take a left, take a right. Here's a joke that makes me seem like kind of a dick. Take a right.
Call me Maverick.
Like, what in the fuck? Why was he given this role? What do we need? All this person needed to do is be like, oh, I've got a helicopter above. And then we watch the driving, which is the only part that's supposed to be interesting.
Can I ask a question about the De Leon?
Please.
From
I'm a De Leon expert.
We just spent this is a 130-minute movie, by the way.
It is.
So
It really is.
And it's
Oh,
every fucking second of it. It's every second you're like, oh my God, another one.
Fucking A.
We lead up to this and we see these wild things happen on the road and all that. And, these various things happen to try to like prevent them from getting there. They're on this cross country from New York to California for the De Leon. And when we get to the De Leon, we are basically told like, this is a race to win all the cars. And in the first 2.5 minutes of the De Leon, one of the cars is out of the race, damaged. If you are driving these cars for the purpose of then owning these cars, if they're going to end up getting wrecked and no one's going to be like, fuck, I just lost like $1 million on that fucking car, does that not seem like a good reason to do this if you are the top illegal street racers in the country, world, whatever?
Listen, the big
I want you to
mistake,
explain this to me.
the big mistake that was made with the De Leon was that Michael Keaton, who apparently organizes it while doing an all-day, all-night podcast about street racing,
on Winamp,
he egged on and in fact entered whatever the hell the main character's name was. Who gives a shit?
Toby Marshall. She talks about Toby Marshall all the time. It's burned into my brain.
Who fucking cares? Toby Marshall.
Say Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. You can say Aaron Paul too. I don't care.
What he does is he's like, yo, you got to get in this race. I'm putting him on the race, even though it should be. And he just draws 1 billion cops to his illegal organization. And they
answered my question.
Doing what they do, destroyed all the cars because that's what they'll do, anything to get these people off the road. This empty road.
Does this happen all the time in the De Leon? That's like my question. Is like
the way that they mobilized, they were like ready for wherever it was. You know what I mean? But just didn't know the exact location. They knew it was going to be in town.
Well, really, honestly,
but we're not told that because why would you want us to know anything?
Let's take into consideration that that Kid Cudi is watching this on a military prison guard's iPad as she holds it up to him while he's in his cell.
Or this race was like an hour and a half long too. So she's just standing there for like a movie length being like, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, completely.
Here's your illegal race that we should be destroying.
It's an illegal race, and the entire time he's like, that's my friend, the guy who's doing well in the illegal streetcar race.
Dry snitching. Dry snitching.
And can we just for a moment remember why he's on a military prison?
Yes.
Because he stole an Apache helicopter.
I love it too. He steals the helicopter to save them like on that mountain cliff where the action peaks because the Apache helicopter shows up.
And a peak of a mountain.
lowers hooks that they then attach to the car, and Kid Cudi pulls them away from safety, drops them down. 2 jet fighters stream past, and he's like, well, I guess I'm going off to jail. See you guys.
The way that jail is treated in this film is just like, listen, first and foremost, atop the list of crimes that this human being committed, atrocities, by the way, that this human being committed, murder would be the one that we would see at the top of the list in number, in like flagrancy, in moral turpitude, any measure you want to take. Murder's number 1 on the list. He murders dozens of people in this film.
The body count of this film is so alarming that the very ending of the film, where Toby gets out of prison post-race, seemingly after what must have been weeks or months, without acknowledging that they knew he'd been doing this illegal, he'd broken his probation and he was cross-country speeding, basically causing mayhem on the roads and highways.
He
throughout.
drove more in the wrong lane than he did anywhere else on the fucking road. The car trip is across the country. It's days worth of trip.
Yeah.
And he's just every day like, well, someone's chasing me. I got to veer over into this lane and really throw him for a loop so that I can murder people.
It's
People are
45
falling off of
hours.
mountains.
He's driving 45 hours, like carnage, 45 hours with like 4 accomplices.
Then
And,
murders
like,
everyone in the race.
And all of them go free except for Kid Cudi, who happened to steal an Apache helicopter, so they got to go get him. But like Rami Malek doesn't get in trouble. The other guy doesn't get in trouble. Imogen Poots doesn't get in trouble. No, she picks him up from prison. You're an accomplice. You're an accessory.
She rolls up to prison. She rolls up to prison in. Look, I don't know what fucking cars are. I don't care.
Red. I think it was red.
About cars, but it was real nice and fast and red, like everybody likes. But I'll tell you this: she rolls up to that motherfucker right on time for him to be walking out of the prison, like perfectly, beautifully timed.
It's amazing.
Meaning, no one that associated with this film whatsoever has been near a jail.
No,
never even driven by a prison.
Not even close.
The pains of getting out of prison, it's wild trying to get out of a prison. Okay.
I happen to live in relatively close proximity to Rikers Island, which again, jail. And I see people who get out because I ride the bus. And it's like, it's not like someone's just going to be there to pick you up and take you away on time.
You don't walk out to the parking lot immediately.
That car would have been waiting a long time and probably is waiting for you somewhere else.
Maybe
even filling out paperwork. It's possible.
She just like had binoculars off in the distance and was like, I'm just going to drive up perfectly on time, just sitting there on a rock. Sun.
You can rule out that, like, it definitely wasn't that Kid Cudi was operating a helicopter watching over them to know, all right, he's getting out. Pull up.
No, he's in jail. They gotta go get him out. He's getting out early for good behavior.
But Jeff, you mentioned that whoever wrote this movie clearly had never been to jail.
Not near it. Can't. There's no way.
And if I just tell you some of the other movies this person has written, it will probably only validate that for you.
Okay, can I ask the magic question?
Oh, please.
Did they work again after this?
Interesting story.
I bet there is. There always is on this fucking podcast. They write a film and then people are like, please don't hire this person. Please.
There are 2 credited screenwriters on this movie. And they have the same last name. It's John and George Gatins or Gatins. I don't know how you pronounce it.
So they gotta be bros.
So they're probably brothers or cousins, or they're related. So that's it.
Okay.
John had previously written films like Coach Carter, Dreamer, and Real Steel. And 2 years prior to Need for Speed, was credited as a writer on the movie Flight, which, remember, Denzel Washington is a drunk pilot.
He wrote Flight. Okay. So
John wrote Flight.
So that guy did okay.
So John and George collaborated on this movie, and George had done a couple of had some credits on a couple things before, but mostly in our producer.
He's a lawyer now or something, right?
Well, he's not. This was his last film. I'll just say that.
Shock.
Right off the bat. This is the end of it.
Shock. I can't believe that someone on the crew never worked in Hollywood again after we watched a movie, after this piece of garbage. Someone had to pay.
Yeah. So John continued to work after it seems like a few years off. He has a story by credit on Kong Skull Island and on the screenplay credit for a movie from 2017 that I didn't know existed. There was a Power Rangers movie that came out in 2017.
In 2017?
He wrote that. So That's what ended up happening.
I didn't even know
I'm
they tried that.
speechless.
Do you want to hear about the director?
God.
Tell us.
It's a sad. Is it a sad story?
No, it's kind of actually really interesting where he ends up.
Okay.
So Scott Waugh is the director, and before
Waugh.
this, he did a 2012 film called Act of Valor, real like military porn, essentially. Have either of you seen Act of Valor? Have either of you seen Act of Valor?
No.
You try to avoid acts of valor.
I don't think anybody who lives in New York saw Act of Valor.
Oh, no.
I think you had to have something
Staten
to fix
Island
your
was there.
truck in order to watch it.
Act of Valor. Who was in it?
So nobody. That's the point.
Oh, okay.
It was like a military movie.
It was just
It was a
propaganda.
And they gave him as a reward for this Need for Speed. And so he did this movie. After Need for Speed, not a ton of work
Tabletop.
for your guy. However,
what a curveball.
he has 2 movies coming out this year.
Oh.
One of them is a Jackie Chan film called
What?
Hidden Strike. The other is Expendables 4.
You're fucking kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. This is exactly what it is. This is who we are talking about as a director. The man who gets to make Expendables 4.
You know what? Here's a wild thing. I have never watched any Expendables movies.
Well, you're a fool.
I know. Like everyone loves those. I'm more of a Fast and Furious guy, but like they can exist. They can coexist. I mean, I'm also a Mission Impossible guy. So like,
Yeah.
So like, I hold a lot of love in my heart for the action genre.
Do you know who the co-star of that Jackie Chan movie, Hidden Strike, is?
Who could it be?
No.
This is with John Cena.
What?
John Cena.
I'm gonna see this movie.
This movie, we might go see this movie.
We should go see this movie. I think we gotta. Although I will say that makes it sound like it's worth watching Need for Speed. I'm going to go ahead and throw in the Cabbages warning here.
Please.
Cabbages, do not waste your time on this film, please. You're going to look it up and the little things will be like, oh, it's on Tubi. And you're like, oh, Tubi, perfect. It's not worth your time. Don't do this. Okay, we can continue.
So Samurai Banana, you're a music guy.
Vaguely.
What did you think of the soundtrack choices on this film? These covers of classic rock songs.
Yeah, that was just god awful. Was the cover of All Along the Watchtower? What? I was just like, I can't believe I'm hearing this. When did that happen? What was the scene? What were the visuals that accompanied that?
Was that when
were they driving?
Was it when they think it was
alert?
Was it when it was heading up to the De Leon, like in that bit where they're like that last, but he has the new car. I think it might have played there. The one I like is when they played a Fortunate Son at the drive-in when Dino,
where people were driving fancy cars around.
Yeah.
Poor people were just driving really expensive fancy cars around.
I don't know much about Mount Gisco. So what was your impression of all that?
I thought
how
it was
you feeling?
fucking all over the place. It's so fucking stupid. It made me think of the like bullshit that like I heard Westworld do, and like, yeah, that made me not want to watch Westworld. That might be a mistake. No, you're not. You're shaking your head like I fucked up royally.
I have also not watched Westworld. Admittedly, I have trouble watching shows that are styled on like Twilight Zone without just turning it off and putting on old Twilight Zones.
Music choices are generally interesting. It's like the actual originals of those songs probably cost a lot of money. Sure. I think is the first thing.
Yeah, I think that's.
Do you think they cost less having it? Yeah, of course. I think we've covered that on the show before.
I think a cover of it is going to cost you a certain amount, but you're not going to have to pay the same amount for it.
Right.
I think that's sort of the understanding. And some films use covers, and and they do it in a way where
there were some
part of the zeitgeist. But this
there were some people on there that would get a nice check from being on this soundtrack?
I mean,
Sure.
Was it Aloe Black on there?
I think I saw that is the truth.
That is a truth.
That was like peak
it's-
Aloe Black
it's-
too. Like that was when whatever his big record was like humming. I feel like maybe
When
I'm
he was
wrong.
the man,
right. Maybe I'm wrong, but
when you could tell everybody.
you could tell everybody.
Aloe Black performs Fortunate Son.
Yes. Okay.
Oh boy.
Totally.
So you were right there. And then Aloe Black also does Back in the Saddle.
Right.
By
He's
Aerosmith.
all over this thing.
He does not do All on the Watchtower, though. I
Okay.
want to make that clear. Yeah.
Who's that?
That's somebody called Jamie N. Commons, who I guess was
of course.
signed to Interscope at the time.
I've never heard of that person.
Who is? Oh.
Nobody knows who that is.
Nobody
I feel
knows,
like.
dude. No one ever will.
I feel like they could have spent the money to get those songs. Like EA has a lot of money behind this. Also, this movie made a lot more money than I thought that it would have.
And there's good reason why.
Yeah. What's
So,
that
Jeff, how
good
much do you think this
reason?
movie
Just
cost?
fucking
Before I get to the
Oh,
how much
God,
it made,
I don't want to know how much. This
how
movie
much do you
cost.
think? And before you answer, remember this: while we all watched this on Tubi with commercials,
Right.
when this was released in theaters, this was released in 3D
And IMAX.
and IMAX. So, Jeff, knowing this information and having watched this film twice, I think at this point,
Yeah.
what do you think the budget
one and a
was?
half.
What do you-
Yeah, I know. At some point,
raced
it
to
was
the
on in the
ending.
background
I
while I
raced
was
to the
finishing. Yeah,
ending.
exactly.
Like,
It was on in the background, but it would like just name a point in time. Can I do this real quick before you ask a question?
Sure. Yeah.
Name a
You
point
haven't
in
answered one of my
time.
questions all day.
You won't
so
be
why
able to
not?
do this, so we can go right back to the other question. Name a point in time where Aaron Paul says anything interesting. He's most of the film.
He has fewer lines than Keanu Reeves does in any of the John Wicks, which is a feat unto itself.
but he's like kind of always talking or controlling the conversation. It like
Yeah.
I think he's
it's
just clearing
truly
his
an
throat.
example where like if Poochie isn't on the screen, everyone around is asking, "Where's Poochie?" Like it's Aaron Paul and then Aaron Paul talkabouts. It's the actual thing that would happen if you adopted that idea.
I feel like he really
$60 million.
he really doesn't talk that much, but like it feels like he talks throughout the whole fucking thing. Like everything he
totally.
says is just like fucking annoying, and it's like, shut up. Like, we don't need to hear from you. Like, we don't need to.
By the time he's in,
The De Leon.
I feel like we're like just lose.
Be the first person in a fireball.
I don't care about your dead friend. I don't care about your dead dad. I don't care about your garage. You have murdered families in their primes, in the primes of their life, driving like a jackass to evade cops for terrible other things you've done. I have zero sympathy for this human.
No.
This movie, to me, I'm so bad with like money and doing this, but did it cost $75 million to make that movie?
You see, your first answer was closer.
60. I said 60.
In
that's right. Sorry.
Price is Right rules,
60.
66 was the actual
Okay.
number. So close
So
enough
it's
going
right in
over.
between those two.
I
so-
imagine with the marketing budget, you get
Hmm.
over 70. I think that's probably reasonable without
Fair.
saying much else.
Fair.
But this film, and domestically, this film made $43 million
so it was
Oh.
it was a tiny splash.
domestically. In
Oh,
China,
you know what? Can I guess? Oh, I
and
was
the
gonna
rest
guess
of the
China.
world,
I was so gonna guess China and Japan.
the rest
They
of the world,
love
including China.
when we try to do cool shit like that. They eat it up. I can't imagine them doing anything other than laughing at the racing scenes because their cinema was so much better at it in a way.
$203 million.
203 million.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's
No,
so
that's
yeah,
beyond-
that's so to answer your question, that's the reason why.
Was there a second one?
it
They
made
never
that
made a
money.
second one.
Oh, you want to talk about the second one?
Is there one?
Oh, there were plans for a second one.
Were
The
there?
following
Oh.
year, there were plans, and this was going to be a Chinese-led production, from what I've been able to understand of it.
Oh,
That makes sense.
it made so much money there. Why wouldn't you want to capitalize on it? There had already been, what did we say before? Were there 6 Fast and Furious movies before this?
6.
6 before this movie.
And
So
4 cents.
So think about it from that context: is it was successful in China. They absolutely would want to have a lead production on it, and it is never going to happen. It has not happened, and it is never going to happen. So every now and then you will see something.
Are you happy about that, Gary?
Well, I have to assume that if they did a new Need for Speed now, it would not include any of the same cast.
It would probably call back to them like all of them do. Like, here, we'll give you some money to
vaguely,
right?
Right
Around noon, we'll shoot you.
No, I don't think you can get that.
Like being in the crowd or something.
No.
You know who I think would do it? I think Michael Keaton would reprise that role. He was white hot. He was white hot on the screen.
The man's Batman again now. He's never doing fucking Need for Speed 2.
No, I think he would. He loved that character. You could tell he loved that character.
I mean, they let him basically shoot that
weirdo behind the scenes. Oh,
he shot that in a room for like 2 days. You know, everything in that was shot right there for 2 days.
The best is when he would like stand up and yell at all the equipment. He's like isolated and alone. No one's near him, and he's like yelling at these guests, like standing up, being like, "You don't know anything about cars. Let me explain it to you again." He's so condescending about all of it. It's so good. Oh man, what a performance.
Okay, let me ask a question then. This is a thought experiment that helps us to not talk about this movie, but still kind of talk about this movie. We're running down the clock ourselves on this. I think we all agree that Michael.
Please continue to tune in.
Michael, thank you for listening. I think we all agree that Michael Keaton was the highlight of this film.
1,000%.
Okay, great.
Okay, we all agree that.
A highlight meaning like the only really good part about this.
Yeah, it's like there's like the boat sinks, but there's still like one thing hang up you can hold on to. I'm holding on to that one little bit of boat, and that's Michael Keaton. And you're just hoping he's gonna just say shit.
Just going crazy in a room, just like not giving any kind of a fuck. I feel like their direction was like, you do you, man. Just like have fun with it. And he was like,
that explains a lot of Kid Cudi then too.
They probably gave him direction, but I think with Michael Keaton,
you think so?
Like they gave him Malkovich rules and just said like, you're a genius. Please do whatever you want there.
I hope that's true.
I can't imagine
the only thing that worked, even though the character was wildly unnecessary
and didn't make any sense.
And also
he was pure exposition.
Incredible that he like said the exact amount of time that dude was going to jail, knowing what he knew.
He'd been following him across country. He has to have known that they were dead bodies amidst all that.
Stacked up. Just stacked up. Dead families by the dozens.
Seriously. Anyone who has ever been hit
sounds
by
like
a car,
weird tech metal album.
So we all agree Michael Keaton is the best part of this movie, right?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
And we now know that there was at some point a theoretical Need for Speed 2. Assuming that they don't get Michael Keaton back.
Oh no, don't do this.
Assuming that they don't, who do you think, which actor, actress, whomever, do you think plays the Monarch role in Need for Speed 2?
Dax Shepard.
Dax Shepard. All right, show your work.
Show my work. You look at him. He's perfect for the role. You put him in a cowboy hat and he just goes, ho, takes him on to the left. You're done. I don't know that we'll get one. I think the answer, the big brain answer is it won't happen because they wouldn't be smart enough to try to even get Michael Keaton.
Yeah, but it's more fun to ask these questions. Dax Shepard.
Okay, fair enough. Dax Shepard.
I feel like this is a role that Nick Cage could inhabit.
Okay. All right.
Right?
What do you think? What would you think he would do, like an accent in this? Like what would he do?
I would hope that he would like straight up just go back to his like I'm an Elvis impersonator days.
Okay.
Like, and just like be a real classic Cars kind of guy. By the way, can we talk real quick about how Dino had triples?
Tino had triples. He did
Triples
have
is
triples.
best.
Oh my
Triples is
god!
best. He did.
Triples
He,
is
he
best.
just closed the deal on that, whatever the hell that car was.
That Nova deal's a sure thing now.
It's a sure thing
It's a
now.
sure thing. That's got to be the kind of that had to be the listener. That is the audience for the Monarch show. Guys like that who would sit in the ice not in the ice cream store because the ice cream store was closed. Who would sit in the diner would talk about all these car deals that he had made.
Oh my
Triples is
god!
best.
Absolutely.
Oh my god!
Right.
If you didn't get that joke, turn off this podcast and go watch all 3 seasons of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson.
Don't do it all at the same time, though.
No, it's too
Wild. It's too wild to
It'll
ride.
take you like 90 minutes and you'll be done.
Pretty much. That is the sad truth, is that there's just not enough of it.
I'm so glad you brought that up, though, man. I'm really glad you brought that up.
I mean, there are also like a few moments in the movie where I thought, oh, fuck, they're trying to make it look fake. So,
I wondered if we lost. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a specific thing in this movie that I really have to call out before we call it quits.
Well, we're not done.
Oh god damn it. I was really trying. I had it queued up. I thought we were gonna quit. Yeah, fuck this idea.
I'm the one who ends the
this
show.
Shit sucks.
I end this
no,
show. Not
my
you.
favorite part is that after like I don't know how long is it that dude goes to prison the first time? I forget.
Like 2 years. He's in like 2 years for me.
2 years. 2 years after this man kills a youngster, a very annoying, obviously plotted for death youngster.
oh my god, so clearly
The whole like he walks up
Stay
to
out
the
of
camera.
this one, man. No, let me in.
It's as if he walks up to the camera and the first thing he says is, "I'm gonna die too." Like it's just known that this innocent moron is gonna be leashed and hung by his.
I look at you like a
just
brother.
crushed.
I just
be
wanna
hung
see
by
you.
his
off a bridge and set him on fire.
Yes, he did. He comes, like he flips in the air and comes down and explodes.
And at the end, Michael Keaton is like, that guy's going to jail for murder, not the other dude that killed somewhere around 142 people on a cross-country trip to join this race to kill 5 more people.
Oh,
not
yeah.
that guy, the other guy that like butt tapped a dude going 250 and threw him off a bridge.
Yeah, well, let's also
One
talk
guy.
about how is that car evidence? Like he brings out that car to like show everybody and is like, this, first of all, he's like, this is the evidence.
Because
that I
everybody
have.
knows triples is
And
best.
Just triples is best. There
That's
was
the
a
reason.
triples. And then he's like, I have this evidence that absolutely is not evidence for like anything
Not evidence for
at all.
anything.
It's just a car with some
He found a car in a
fucking paint
garage.
on it. Oh, it got dinged up. Like what?
Doesn't it get dinged
Like-
up in this race?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the other thing is he has this evidence and then he's like, I'm gonna take this evidence and like use it to race in this high stakes race where like every other car just
But the real evidence is found by his, I guess, ex-girlfriend. They don't really explain it other than they have like
Yeah.
a rapport.
Are they
And also
married?
he's like somehow
Or,
taking
like,
care of her
she's got
brother
a-
instead of her. I don't know. So anyway, she goes onto this dude's computer 2 years after this accident,
yeah.
goes right to
Her
his desktop
brother's death.
and is like, oh, here's the document I was looking for. It's one folder click away
Right. And
from
like
just being in front of me, proving everything. And
Yeah.
I call this dude and I go, here's what I'm going to do with this information. This murderer, this fucking sociopath, I'm going to unleash this sociopath on him with a weapon, a really fast car. I'm going to, like, this woman makes this man drive the car that killed his best friend to kill the guy that killed him. Essentially, I mean, that's what we were there for, was to murder him.
yeah.
And is like, there, I'm clean. I can wash my hands. I don't know what else you expected of me. Why
No.
would I tell anyone about the murder when it would just cause a commotion? Let's
Now,
kill everyone instead.
Can I play devil's advocate at this?
No, I really wish you wouldn't. I really wish you wouldn't. Okay, go ahead.
Because I
Devil's
guess-
advocate your way through Need for Speed.
I guess what I don't quite understand is that the moment he's shown the evidence, this car
Evidence
exists, this car, which to him is the proof.
Right.
Like when he was originally like being interrogated about it, they're like, there is no other car. There's no sign of any other car. Now this car appears out of nowhere for the first time. What would you do with that car? And I'd say this movie doesn't ever consider the possibility of, if this car is the evidence, you're already going to jail for, at least in this universe, a
18 months for 142 counts of murder.
No, I'm saying, just taking aside the reality of it, like, here's that point. Like, wouldn't you be like, maybe we bring this car to the police, who I'd been saying for years that this is the evidence that you've been missing, and then do that rather than get in this other race where you'll probably hit a school bus. And for a race to get a bunch of junked up $1 million cars and basically beat up by cops in front of a lighthouse. That's what it is, because that was Pete's vision. Pete's vision was, do you remember that Pete's vision was the lighthouse?
Yes.
Oh God, I don't. Oh God, Pete's vision.
Pete had a dream.
He was also, he could like,
I've had it with your visions, man.
There were so many telltale signs that they were going to just eat his lunch. They were just going to, I didn't expect him to get thrown off a bridge into some rocks and explode, but I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, that's the way you kill this like rapscallion, likable kid. The only like, other than Michael Keaton, maybe the only likable part. I say that bearing down on the idea that the acting was not incredible.
Maybe I was high, but did, in the final race, towards the very end of the De Leon, did Aaron Paul at some point yell out Pete's name in the car, or am I misremembering?
I think so, but also my favorite thing is like when he looks down at his arm, at his wrist, and there's a tattoo of Pete's name that we've never seen before.
Never seen before.
Never once. See, like, oh, was that a stick and poke?
Yeah. Because I mean, when did you get that? You went from jail to prison to the car
immediately
to the De Leon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Imogen Poots does.
She had the tattoo gun in the car.
She seems like the kind of gal.
We've talked about everything but
who
that
would.
Character. We've been avoiding the issue in the room, which is that
Imogen
person
Poots,
being
that
there.
This movie can't write women. That this director, the screenwriter,
that
cannot
person
write a woman.
being there added like precisely nothing to the film. All the things that happen, all that she's there for is to react poorly to the situation, so that we continue to believe that this dude doing a very bad modern Batman impression is an incredible human being, or anything more than just like a murdering, very good driver murderer.
Yeah,
she is there specifically to make him look good as much as possible. And they kind of shoehorned in that they might bang. If circumstances were different, they had time, maybe they'd bang.
Yeah, despite how condescending and misogynistic he was to her the whole time. And even when he she picks him up,
brushes her hair away, like, oh, I've been waiting for this. Like, oh my God, he has nearly killed you 150 times.
And then he's like, no, I'm driving, because when you drive, it's scary. That was just like, oh my God. And that was the note that they ended.
The justice scale in this movie is wild. What people, the punishments people get for doing what they do are so far gone. Kid Cudi goes to jail for, I bet, a lot longer.
For starters, let's
say the murderer who did 18 months. You can't prove, I guess, he was in the stolen car.
The white murderer gets out in months for murder.
Yeah.
And at the end, they have to go out to free the black man who, joyrided a Apache helicopter.
And was really good at it.
That's what's fucked up about this country.
We care about helicopters more than we care about human bodies. So this movie actually is kind of sick.
No. There are two women in this movie who have lines.
Mm.
One is Imogen Poots, and the other is Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson barely has any lines. Neither of them have any personalities of their own. They exist for, again, we talk about what Imogen Poots' purpose in this film was. What was Dakota Johnson's purpose in this film? The car, exposition to the car. It's the only other reason why she's there. Like, there's no, otherwise,
so
there's
can get a second car.
Like, you need to see me in the beginning to understand who I am in relation to Pete and why I might want to pursue a justice mission in his name later. But she only is really just there because he needs the car at some point. And otherwise, there's no screenwriting way to make the car happen. He can't just stumble onto it in a garage somewhere.
Her relationship with her partner,
Dino,
is defined specifically as I'm around him. That's it. We don't learn anything about them or what's going on or anything. They're just like, she's just around him. And like, she's also obviously she has a past with our boy Toby. Is that his name?
Toby. Jeff, it's clear you're not from Mount Kisco. All right.
Well, I don't know how to make that any clearer. Mount Kisco, upstate New York. Is there a street racing world in upstate New York? Did they just make that up?
Is there an upstate New York?
Why Mount Kisco?
I don't know, man.
I've been up there. I've never seen anybody driving around illegally.
Okay, great. Good for you.
I just wonder.
Yeah,
look, we got to fill out some. Look, you want to keep this going. I would have quit 2 hours ago.
We've only been on.
I've never actually wanted to talk about this film.
Okay, so before we go, I'm gonna throw this movie a lifeline. Just a lifeline. Just because Jeff and I were talking earlier. We were talking earlier. We sort of think this is maybe the third worst movie
we've watched on the show. I believe it. Wow, I'm really voting it as the third worst movie we've ever seen. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
I don't know, but yeah, we're starting to think that, and I just like, do you like, you not being somebody who watches all these horrible films with us, but somebody who has consumed a lot of media, watched a lot of movies, probably seen quite a few video game movies over the years. How is this on like the spectrum of video game movies for you in your experience?
Oh, I mean, this is like standard video game movie as far as I can tell, because it's just like, here, we're just gonna like make, like, they're all just like the most nonsensical bullshit in the world. They're like, we are making this so that we can make money. And that ultimately is like this movie is the sound of people making a lot of money, like just over and over and over again. And that's it. Like I feel like they just like slapped this shit together like as easily as possible without giving it any kind
I think I've never agreed with someone more in my entire life. You could say, Jeff, you should get ice cream right now, and I'd agree just slightly less than what you just said.
It's just like, yeah,
the sound of making money.
just looped with credits. That's all it is. And yeah, I mean, like, video game movies are never good. That's why I generally avoid them completely. I'd be hard pressed to think of one that I could possibly have enjoyed.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay, facts. That's Mortal
Kombat. Hard facts, bro. Sorry, I hate to do it to you. I didn't want to shit on you, but
Mortal Kombat is extremely fun, dumb.
But yeah, you can keep the rest of it.
Pretty much. Yeah, no, this movie sucked.
Oh, Gary, you came and we watched us a stinker. That movie sucked. Oh, Gary.
It was not good.
It was bad.
I'm still on the fence.
Do you now believe me?
I'm still on the fence of whether it's the third. I'm still a little wary. But
is it Michael Keaton that's carrying that torch? Because he didn't carry it that well.
It is Michael Keaton. And
Here I have an overarching point, and I should just
Okay.
get to it because I'm
okay, sure,
pretty stoned, and I am about to take another bong hit.
please.
Thing is, Gary, my good friend, we're not at war with each other anymore.
No.
Those days, for now, are behind us. You see what I'm saying?
This is the
So we're
calmest our
racing to the
friendship has ever
bottom
been.
right now. Like we're back, we back.
We back.
I'm very excited that we're back and we're making people watch some weird, far out nonsense.
We back.
But
But
we don't have to make it uninteresting. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
This isn't a war, so we can take a level up and nobody loses anything. Movie, bad. Performances, perhaps entertaining. Or soundtrack, not the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Or
And-
what if they were cats?
Or cats. Like, did you know there were cats?
Did you know? Yeah.
So-
cats.
Did you know? Did you know there were cats? So what I'm saying is we don't have to cats each other here.
Okay.
We can do better to ourselves while still maintaining a why did we do this in the first place atmosphere. Do you have ideas? I don't. I just wanted to complain about the problem.
You clearly want to complain about the podcast, and that's your choice.
And I did.
We spent a lot of
Complaint
time
lodged.
over the past several weeks, months, I would say, when we found ourselves watching films that we thought were genuinely good, if not great, and legitimately enjoyable, as opposed to ironically appreciated or so bad it's good mentality.
You do strike out doing that. And I understand, like, there's no blame coming from me in this scenario. I just think if we put our heads together, I think we can find something we haven't seen that's going to be fun.
We got freaked out by how good we had it, that
Right,
I think
the pendulum.
we have nosedived ourselves a bit over the past couple of episodes.
Well said.
You know, like Just Right wasn't like
No,
terrible.
it was the beginning of the decline, but
You
it was
liked
like
it
a
enough.
watchable film. I think I just like talking about it with somebody who understood it on that granular level.
Yeah, which was not me. I didn't understand the
Right.
movie at all.
Rex
But
and I
then you
really
get-
understood each other there.
But then you get on to White Men Can't Jump reboot, and it's like, okay, what's the
We're
deal
back.
here?
We are
And we were
back.
like, we back. And now we're watching Need for Speed for a Kid Cudi role when there are plenty of other Kid Cudi roles. We could have watched X, you know, we could have watched a
That's okay.
recent movie where he's not like a totally ancillary character. He's part of a group of people.
No, totally.
Who are the targets in this
I'm-
horror movie.
I'm ready to defend, to a degree, the House Party 2023 movie, but we didn't do it. We
No.
ended up with Need for Speed. Let's talk about actors we have left.
Oh, we have so many.
Oh, it's a never-ending list in a way, but we really painted ourselves into a corner. But
No, yeah.
who is on top of the list of people? Like, we're talking no-brainers here.
Yeah.
We haven't done
Yeah.
a ludicrous movie.
Right. We haven't done that yet.
Lots to choose from.
Oh man, there's so many we could choose from. Oh, you know who makes really good bad movies?
I'm ready to hear you on this.
Snoop Dogg makes really good
Snoop Dogg.
bad movies.
Oh, I'm all in.
Oh,
Dude,
and we have so
There's
many.
so many dope movies to choose from too. But I'm
many.
with us. I'm with us going hard on shit we haven't seen, because I've seen a lot of Snoop Dogg movies, and there are some like easy targets that I don't actually want to do, like Soul Plane or something.
Yeah, and I think
Great movie.
I'm-
Enough people have seen Soul Plane.
I like
to know
Soul
it's a
Plane.
ridiculous,
I like Soul
great
Plane
movie.
for what it. I like what it is for what it is.
Totally.
You know, it's
a
funny.
spoof. It's
No-
a weird spoof. It's good.
I promise you'd have more fun watching Soul Plane twice than Need for Speed once. No question. there.
Can we up that number?
I'm afraid we don't have enough time to do the actual
Fair enough.
calculations.
Fair enough.
But maybe it would make it interesting. Maybe make it interesting because there's definitely some obvious picks, right? So we just set aside the obvious picks. I saw a trailer for a movie. I guess it was a Netflix thing. Maybe it came out last year, maybe earlier this year.
You're barking up bad movie tree.
Yeah, so it's like a Netflix original, And Snoop Dogg, I saw had a
we're on
cowboy
shaky
hat,
ground already.
cowboy hat on,
Snoop Dogg's wearing a cowboy hat.
and was some kind of vampire bounty hunter.
Excuse me?
Yeah,
He's wearing a cowboy hat, and he's
cowboy hat
a vampire hunter
in a Netflix movie.
but for bounties.
Yes.
So he has to bring them in alive?
Yeah, I think there's some sort of like maybe their heads. I don't know how it works.
You haven't seen the film, I understand.
No, but again, I half watched a trailer, and all I can remember from it is that Jamie Foxx is in it, and that Snoop Dogg is wearing a cowboy hat.
The decision sounds made to me. I feel like the decision is made.
I'm just saying we have so many choices from his filmography.
We do have a lot of choices, Gary.
But I think this is it. This is it.
I think we do Cool as Ice. So Cool as Ice?
We were just
Cool as Ice, Gary?
Snoop Dogg in a cowboy hat.
Cool as Ice, Gary?
Hunting vampires.
Cool as Ice, Gary?
Cool as ice.
Yeah.
It's the Cabbages Podcast Network.